Welcome back to Economics with Dr. A. Today, we are discussing Eat the Tariff, the real economics behind who pays. Recently, Walmart announced that it will have to increase its prices due to the tariff wars. This announcement received a harsh response from President Trump, who demanded that Walmart eat the tariff. At the same time, Home Depot has announced that it will not change its prices. Today, I'd like to talk about which companies would be able to quote unquote eat the tariffs and which will pass them on as price hikes. Whatever companies decide, it will hurt consumers, and I'll cover that at the end of this discussion. Who will eat and who will pass? First, I will recommend that you listen to Marketplace Radio's coverage on this topic on their episode from May 20th. Second, the economics of the situation is simple. The cost of the product has increased. And firms have two options: to either increase the price of the product or keep it unchanged. What they decide will depend on the market structure of the industry. So, not all firms will increase their prices. Firms that do not change their prices are those that face what we call in economics elastic demand, meaning consumers are sensitive to price changes and can adjust their behavior accordingly. What determines whether demand is elastic? Well, here are some determinants of demand elasticity. One, availability of substitutes. Two, proportion of income that is allocated towards that product. Three, the time period in which decisions are being made. Four, is this good a necessity or is it a luxury? Five, how do we define the product? Is it narrowly defined or are we talking about large categories? There's a difference between how many substitutes are available for Coca Cola versus groceries in general. Six, consumer habits and brand loyalty. And then finally, seven, durability. Whether firms pass on the tariff as higher prices has more to do with their demand for their product than their political stance, or at least that should be the case. Regardless of their decision, consumers will pay. So, regardless of whether the firm can pass on the cost of the tariffs, it will eventually hurt consumers. And here's why. In the case of higher prices, it is clear that the consumer will directly experience the impact of the tariff. I think everybody sees that. If the firm does not increase prices and quote unquote eats the tariff, it will experience lower profits. This will eventually lead to lower investments in the firm, fewer employees, lower salaries, or a combination of those outcomes. The employees working at these firms will be negatively impacted. And I want to remind you, they too are consumers. So here's the takeaway. The political drama surrounding which companies quote unquote eat the tariff versus which ones pass them on misses the fundamental economic reality. Tariffs are ultimately paid by consumers one way or another. They represent a tax on consumption, whether it's immediately through higher prices or eventually through reduced economic activity. When companies absorb the tariff costs, they must compensate elsewhere. This might mean lower and slower expansions, reduced hiring, postponed raises, or scaled back product development. These adjustments will ripple through the economy and eventually touch all of us. The position of some firms as quote unquote patriotic for absorbing the tariffs while others are vilified for passing them on reflects political theater rather than economic reality. And here we discuss the economics. Companies make these decisions based on market conditions, competitive positioning, and profit requirements, not ideology. Or it shouldn't be the case. Understanding the elastic and inelastic dynamics of different product categories helps us explain why you see varied responses across the retail landscape. Home improvement stores like Home Depot compete in different market conditions than general retailers like Walmart, leading to different strategic responses to the same tariff policies. As consumers navigate this environment, it is important to recognize that economic burden of tariffs doesn't disappear through executive demands or corporate posturing. It simply shifts forms. The only question is how and when will we pay? Good luck. See you on the next episode of Economics with Dr. A. If you're new here, my name is Dr. Abdul Albarani. I'm a professor of economics, and I like to cover economics and how it impacts your personal life. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, or connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have not signed up for my newsletter, head to withdra.com to subscribe and receive all of these via email. See you all next week.